Thank you, Caherlock, and thank you, Minister, for taking the topic of the issue. The issue that I want to raise this evening, Minister, goes to the quality and the contents of the water supply in Kilteel, County Kildare. Kilteel is an area in the constituency of Kildare North, bordering actually counties Wicklow and Dublin. It's in the corner of the constituencies that were a very important corner, very decent people there, a very strong community. But unfortunately, the group water scheme that services that area, there are 60 houses connected to it, and it's been in place for some considerable time. In January of this year, a do not use notice effectively was issued by the County Council, Kildare County Council, due to suspected arsenic poisoning in the water. It seems quite incredible that something as nutritious and necessary for literally life as water coming into our homes would have poison literally contained within it. But that indeed was what appeared to be the situation. And Kildare County Council issued the notice. There were some temporary measures taken, such as tankers being sent up and water being made available on a temporary basis. But we're now into May, rapidly approaching June. So we're almost 6 months into the year. And those 60 households, and all belong to them, are still grappling with this issue of poisoned water literally coming into their homes. One lady in particular, Kathleen Lamb, I spoke to earlier in the week, very decent lady as well, very much involved in the local arts and creative scene, and had, I suppose, in more hope than expectation, consumed the water, perhaps mistakenly, thinking perhaps that the issue had died down. Ended up in Ace Hospital with suspected arsenic poisoning. Others have complained of being sick, others have complained of everything from nausea to more serious complaints. Some have been hospitalised. And really in 2022, we often talk about rural areas such as Kilteel, access to broadband and access to other services, but one of the most fundamental services of all, I would have thought, would be access to drinking water, cooking water, water that people can use for all their day-to-day needs. There is engagement ongoing with Kildare County Council. There is engagement ongoing with Irish Water. I have been engaged with those bodies as well. But I would ask that I think it's going to need a government direction. I think the EPA could possibly be directed to get involved in terms of carrying out an investigation. There may be a possibility that Irish Water could connect the group water scheme to perhaps a wider scheme that would allow for a continuity of supply and reroute the supply from the poisoned water well. There would be required funding. The residents cannot be expected to fund all of this off their own steam, particularly the situation that they found themselves in being let down badly by state agencies. And I would ask that the government would consider a subvention to make that happen to Irish Water, to Kildare County Council, perhaps to both, in terms of remedying this issue. But really, it's gone on at this stage for nearly 6 months. The people are facing into the summer, droughts, etc., and weather changes, and water always is a scarce commodity. But decent, clean, non-poisoned drinking water seems like a pretty fundamental requirement. I know, Minister, in your constituency of Meath, you have many such similar rural areas as well that would be reliant on such group water schemes. You know how important it is. I look forward to your response and what guidance and solutions you can offer to this specific problem.
Gurmagad Hiachta as an tábhair seo ordu an seo agus an deise chuir dumsa son an ára tíochta dáile leis an ábhar seo. I want to thank the Deputy for raising this issue and giving me an opportunity to address the matter on behalf of the Minister for Housing, who cannot be here, and he sends his apologies. Group water schemes are independent community-owned enterprises are an important means of providing pipe water to rural areas where no such supply exists. In the interest of public health, Kildare County Council, as a supervisory authority under the drinking water regulations for private water supplies, issued a do not consume notice to the Kilteel group water scheme earlier this year. The notice prohibits the use of the water supply for either drinking purposes or for the preparation of food. As this is a private supply, primary responsibility for its resolution rests with the management of the supply. The Department's multi-annual rural water programme provides capital funding under a number of measures, including for group water schemes, to enable the resolution of infrastructural deficiencies and in particular those that are causing or risk causing water quality issues. The Council has informed my department that it continues to work with the management of the supply to help it in addressing its water quality issue. Given the public health concerns, the department has asked the Council to examine and report back on the most appropriate approaches for resolving the issues with the supply by looking at the solutions in the short, medium and longer term. In the short term, the Council is examining the options for providing a temporary water supply for the area using a tanker. As a medium-term solution, the Department has asked the Council to examine the feasibility of providing a supply using an alternative groundwater source. The Council, after obtaining expert advice, will provide the Department with an initial assessment on the feasibility of doing this in the coming weeks. Of course, the more sustainable long-term solution for the supply appears to be interconnection to the public network and taking in charge. To progress this, the Council, on behalf of the private supply, submitted a connection application to Irish Water on the 4th of May last. Given the public health concerns with the supply, the Department has, and indeed following your own representations, the Department has separately requested Irish Water to prioritise the request. The Department will continue to engage with the Council on the matter of this supply, and the Council will be providing the Department with regular updates on progress.
Minister, for that reply. I do welcome some of the progress, and obviously I've been in touch with the Minister's office on this throughout, and I do welcome that those representations are beginning to bear fruit. I note the commitment that the Department will receive an initial assessment on the feasibility of an alternative groundwater source arising from tonight's debate and the representations in the next couple of weeks, and indeed the fact that the Department have now instructed Irish Water to prioritise that request for the connection to the mains. So I want to be positive, and I want to welcome that there is progress being made. There is an urgency, naturally enough, about it, given the type of issue that it is. There was a situation where people had to buy water, going out to get bottles and large tankers, etc., themselves in the shops. There was a tanker being sent up occasionally. It hadn't been perhaps as frequently in recent days. The other issue that I'm just making as an observation, at the outset of your reply, you said that it was a private supply and effectively it was a private issue. And I know you haven't said that, and you've gone on to explain that the state will intervene and is going to, and again, I acknowledge that. But it's only a private supply because of lack of alternative. If the people could connect to the mains, they would have done so years ago, if that was an option for them when they're building their houses. Some have access to private water wells, a lot don't. So really, while it is a private group water scheme, it is only so because of necessity. And actually have to commend the community for organising themselves in this manner and making these provisions for themselves. It stood them well for many years, but unfortunately no longer. In conclusion, I do look forward. I will keep in touch with the Minister on this, and I look forward to those actions being taken. I think that is the long-term solution. Really is the connection to the main supply, albeit it is a somewhat rural isolated area, but it has to be done, and we have to find a way to do it. And I recognise that the Department will now prioritise that through working with Irish Water. And indeed, I also look forward to progress update on the groundwater supply. All of these things are necessary and important, and as I say, we cannot allow 60 households in a rural community just to grin and bear it for any longer than is absolutely necessary. So thank the Minister and your office, and indeed Minister Darragh Bryan, who have been working with on it as well, for those inputs, and I look forward to its swift resolution. Thank you.
Gur magat bottom of Wickes Gawala and Chakta Rish as an Oberta Yen of a Kilteel on the Kildara Madrelation and Ishka Luffata and Shinnock as an Oberta Yen of Con Dulcan Keeney Yen of Fiausakor Aaron Ishka. And I want to thank the Deputy for his comments, and his interest and representations are very much appreciated in the Department. The Department will be announcing funding on its multi-annual rural water programme shortly. We'll see details shortly. And again, I urge the Deputy, as he said he will do, to keep in touch with the Department, because there are actions listed there that will start to happen. And I know that your own interventions are highly appreciated. Gurmagat.
Minister, many thanks. Thank you, Deputy Donis, for raising that matter. The final matter comes from Deputy Pádraig O'Sullivan, who wishes to discuss the National Medicines Agency. When the National Medicines Agency will be established. Mr. Rabbit is here to deal with this matter. Deputy O'Sullivan, the floor is yours, sir.
Yep. Thanks, Ceann Corla, and thanks as well to the Minister. She's been here on more than a few occasions answering questions in relation to rare diseases, orphan drugs, and now this issue as well pertaining to the establishment of the Medicines Agency. And as the Minister is aware, this is a commitment that's been given in the programme for government, and we're here over 2 years into government, and I know that I'm probably going to guess the answer that maybe has been given to the Minister, but I think very little work has been done in this area, and I suppose the purpose of the question is to see exactly what has happened up to now in terms of delivering this agency. If the Minister could give any type of a time frame for the establishment of such an agency, because I know that she's well aware of the issues in this sector, particularly with the whole question of access to drugs for rare diseases. And I would like to first acknowledge the work that the Minister has done in this area up to now. Minister Donnelly has provided the largest budget over the last 2 years in terms of approval of new medicines, and that's to be welcomed. But I think I must also preface that commendation by saying that in this sphere the government has made very little progress, and I think we need to acknowledge that and be truthful about it. Also, it is welcome that the programme for government does allow for the establishment of the National Medicine Agency, but it is regrettable that the focus seems to be solely on lower pricing in terms of reimbursements. And obviously this is important, and the National Centre for Pharmacoeconomics already has